Dean Obeidallah, and former host AlBernamag, Dr. Bassem Youssef.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
You started out as you were a heart surgeon.
Yes. I was a nerd.
You were a nerd?
Yes.
And you were a heart surgeon, which is like an Arab Muslim parent's dream, that and engineer.
Well, we are two brothers. I'm a cardiac surgeon and my brother was an engineer, so if you had a third one who was a dentist, that would be like almost a Jewish family, but we're not. The fact that actually to leave that to do comedy would prove that we're not Jewish. But the way it all started, basically that in 2010, I was preparing to leave the country. I did all my American exams. I got accepted to go to Cleveland, which tells you how desperate you are to leave the country if you're going to Cleveland. I'm very sorry. I mean, even LeBron James left. Come on. Anyway, so, but he's back. He's back. So anyways, in 2010, there was absolutely no Arabic original content in YouTube. So we were the first one. He said, like, put your video out there, and we will invite more talents.
But you had never done comedy before this.
No,
so I mean, why did he think you would be interested in doing comedy?
We didn't think about that comedy in the beginning. We thought of doing other shows. But when the revolution came, he said, like, I want you to do something that is political. I said, like, I'm going to do Jon Stewart. I saw one of his shows in 2002. And I said, like, who's that? And I had to come back and study what is a Republican, what is a Democrat, what the hell is Fox News, to understand what he was talking about. So I became addicted to his show for all of these years. So when the chance had, like, and I had the camera, what I did was doing Jon Stewart because it was really fitting at that time.
And how many views did your first video get?
Well, the first video was like 1.5 million, which.
And that's the one you did in your apartment?
No, there were 7 videos. There were like 5 million in total views.
Okay.
And then, after 2 months, my H-1 visa papers came from Cleveland, and I had my first TV deal. So I was like, oh my God, this is what I was working for all my life. I mean, 7 years of medicine and 13, 14 years of practicing. Should I go and save lives, or should I take the money? So I took the money, and it just made sense. And I was a sellout, and so I took the deal. And but I had to promise my mom is that I will keep on doing my hospital shifts.
Comedy is subversive inherently. You're questioning the powers that be, and
yes.
No powers that be like to be mocked.
And yeah, this is very poetic, but like in reality, they really kick your ass if you do that. But
do you think comedy can play an impact in influencing issues?
At the end of the day, satire and comedy, and as painful as this sound, it really doesn't change anything. What it does, it brings more people to the table that might otherwise not be interested in these political issues.
You know, you were in Egypt doing this. You were the first person doing this. You knew there are certain rules, but when you started this, did you self-censor? Did you say, look, we're going to only go so far and see what happens?
Everybody self-censors because every society has its own sensitive buttons.
It's true.
At the end of the day, what really matters is bringing in the message. Like, if you deliver the message, it's not about like how rude you are or how subversive you are. It's like how effective you can be. One of the biggest challenges is like some of the really far right wing idealizes the leadership, whether this right wing is military or religious. So during the religious era, if you attack the president, you are attacking religion. Or afterwards, if you attack the leader, you're attacking the army. This was one of the biggest challenges that we had to do, because this is where what your opponents do to put you in a tough spot. And they kind of blur the message that you're trying to give out.
So what was it like for you? You're doing your show, it's 2000, when did it really hit its heyday? Like 2011, 2012, Mubarak leaves?
Yeah, Mubarak
Morsi
leaves in
comes
2011. I'm on YouTube. I go from YouTube to television, from television to theater to jail, back to theater,
right.
Continuing, getting banned outside of the whole thing, leave the country. It's a lovely, interesting.
So, but what was the best time? When was the time that you had the most people? It was fun.
Well, it was
the least restrictions.
It was the time
you felt.
right after the revolution, where there was no barriers.
Well, you got arrested after the hat thing.
Yes.
Like, did you get a sense before that?
There was a warrant.
There was a warrant.
Yeah, of my arrest, so I went there voluntarily, and then I spent 6 hours in interrogation, and I have to explain my jokes to the guy who interrogated me, which was really painful, because like. So he said, like, what did you mean of that? And I said, like, oh, I meant this and this, and he didn't laugh. And this is the biggest insult if you're a comedian. It's like,
What happens next then? So Morsi's still there.
Yes.
The new revolution, Revolution 2.0 happens.
Yeah.
Morsi's out. There's this interim period before Sisi, the president, comes in. What
Yes.
happens in that period of time?
oh, we just turned into the most democratic country in the world.
Is that sarcasm? You have to explain. You have to explain your jokes to me like a prison guard.
What's happening right now in the Middle East is not sustainable. You know,
I mean, specifically, do you mean like Egypt?
No,
or
no.
Syria?
In general,
Okay.
you cannot just like hold the whole like region the same way people lived like 300, 400 years ago. You cannot do that. At the end of the day, like history will not give any exception. Like we need to learn, and we're gonna need to learn from our own mistakes.
Is your next project a platform you're speaking of,
Yes,
or it's something else?
There's two things I'm working on. There's the
Okay.
platform that back there in the Middle East, and I hope that we can get that moving. And there is something here that I'm hopeful that I can do with the Arabs in America. You see, Arabs might be the only subculture that's not really represented in the media or in Hollywood, unless you're a terrorist or a taxi driver. If you have a certain subculture that's not represented in the media
Right.
or in Hollywood, they either don't exist or there's something wrong with them.
But you must deep down believe that comedy has an impact on the way people perceive subcultures and races and religions.
It doesn't directly make the change, but it will make people make that change. I mean, there are, because of sitcoms and programs, certain perception towards people with certain orientation has changed.
True, absolutely.
Like
Right.
Will
Well,
and
great,
Grace, for
yes.
example, and look what happened like 10 years later. People are very afraid of the other, so we need to show them that the other is okay to deal with the other, you know. And whatever you can say about like United States, I can say more, like 10 times more,
Right.
back in the Arab world. We're not exempt from that.
My dream is like a Muslim boy band. I'm going to call it SKB, Shish Kid Bob. This is my dream.
I don't want this to be like some sort of Muslim of the world unite, because there are many Muslims out there. They're called Muhammad, Ahmad, and Mahmoud. They don't even fast or pray. Some people are culturally Muslims. Right? They just happen to be born in that, and they want to keep that identity. It's not like they're not bringing their faith. They just want to be treated like any other culture, subculture out there. Whether you're Latinos or your Italians are doing well, right? No, they're
Fine.
And
Doing okay.
much of this responsibility falls also part of it on the Muslim community.
Sure.
They need to be more assimilated. There are some people who've been here for 20 and 25 years, and they still consider themselves as immigrants, not Americans. Entertainment and comedy is an incredible tool, incredible weapon, and it's really underrated. And you can do a lot with it. And I hope that whenever you think about changing things in a certain region, you would listen from the people inside the region and ask them, what do they really need? The solution is not by putting more security and putting more repression in order to get rid of a certain political direction, because at the end of the day, they all lead to the same thing, which is extremism, fundamentalism. Extremism can come in all shapes or form, whether they were wearing a beard or wearing a military cap. So I hope that, with that, I leave with that, and I hope we can make the change together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.